I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago.
Hi everyone, and welcome to our Diego Simeone tactical recreation series from his 2013 to 2014 season team. Right, FM23 is here. I cannot wait for this series. We are finally going to have here a game where we can play some low block defensive, quite frankly, shithousery football, and I love it. So what we're going to do is we're going to apply a tactic that's going to be very low block, soaking up pressure, kicking balls away, fouls, yellow cards, red cards, argue with the referee, argue with the opposition manager, just all the negative and bad things in football. We're going to embrace all of them. Absolutely love it. It's going to be all of that all the time, and I cannot wait to bring it to you and to see it work. Because there's one thing to do it in the game, and there's another thing to do it and for it to work and properly. So I can't wait to do this series for you. I've been wanting to do this series for a while, and FM23 coming out was the perfect time to do it. If you don't know, Nick Madden and CJ, who both work on the Match Engine, who are senior to me, both said in the promotion series that we'd improved defensive football, made it more viable. And the crucial thing there is more viable, right? It's not that you can never do it, but it was a lot harder to do, I feel, previously. And then most people just went high mentality, like attacking mentality, high defensive line, trigger press more often. Everybody sort of ended up going that way if they felt like they were struggling at any point. Then they just found it to be an easier default to go to. And what hopefully we've got here is a way to show you that you can play different ways. As long as you set up correctly, you can do anything you want within the game and for it to potentially work. That's what we're going to try and showcase here in my first two series. We've got the Pep Guardiola recreation going on right now. So we've got one end of the spectrum, and then we've got the Diego Simeone side as well. So we've got the two ends of the spectrum that traditionally have been the two most difficult things to recreate in Football Manager. A possession-based positional play kind of football, and then a low block, defensive shithousery, for a lack of a better term, football that works with the top team. So that's going to be the aim. We're going to look to try and be the best low block defensive team in Europe over the next 3 years plus. Now, this save may go slightly longer than the other one because Atletico Madrid aren't quite in the same position as City, both in terms of the players and both then financially. And there's going to be room for this tactic to improve and evolve because don't forget, playing a low block, that in Diego Simeone's 2013-2014 season with Atletico Madrid, they actually conceded 26 league goals, that wouldn't strike you as like a great defensive season, right? So that's quite a decent amount for us to concede. We may concede there or thereabouts in the first season, and it'll be trying to recreate the tactic and play in the similar style. I'd say this one will be more Simeone inspired than an absolutely specific recreation, maybe more so than the Pep one. For a number of reasons that we'll get into as the series goes on. But the one thing that might stand out is they scored 77 goals that year and they conceded 26. There's a good chance we might score, if it went well, we might score, 10, 15 more. We might concede 4 or 5 more, for example, right? And the reason why this one might go on slightly longer is after the 3 years, if we become the best team in Spain, best team in Europe, we've still got an objective then of trying to, let's see how defensive we can make this team. How can we, through recruitment, using all the new features in the game, how can we recruit a team that is the best defensive team in Football Manager 2023 playing a 4-4-2 in some form? That takes me on to one thing that I'm going to ask you to look out for in your own saves. If you're playing a low block and you're playing with two strikers, what you should see now is how the two strikers defend. The strikers before would always attach themselves onto centre-backs. That was always my concern with low blocks previously, and I mentioned this before in a video, I think on another channel actually, but what I explained was that when you play a low block, your strikers just pin themselves to the opposition centre-backs no matter what's going on behind them. So it's really hard to play a low block if your strikers are never really screening and interacting with the midfield. They're not screening or marking anybody. It's a bit different now. So the one thing I want you to watch out for is look how our strikers defend out of possession. We're not going to get into a game in putting this episode. We're going to look through a couple of things, but going forwards and in your own saves, if you're listening to this right now, but you're playing it yourself and you're playing a similar style to what you're looking at here in this video, in this series, look up how your strikers are defending out of possession in your low block, especially if you've got it set to a cautious mentality or below and you've got a lower line of engagement with playing a low block and your pressing is slightly less. So the manager is going to be exactly the same as always. It's my profile. I'm a B license with nothing more. So the first thing we always do is start the coaching course and hopefully they say yes to that. We take over all the staff. Yet again, staff, where are our responsibilities? Yep. take control there, please. Thank you. And let's have a look through the squads. Some of you may not be as familiar with Atletico Madrid's squad, especially this year. So let's go through a couple of players. I only looked at Haaland in the first pet video, so I won't look at too many here. But let's look at Koke, our captain, the legend. Yeah, he just epitomizes the low block, soak up pressure, kick balls away, foul plays, take yellow cards, counter attack, like shit housery Simeone football that we all love. We absolutely adore and love. I absolutely love it. It's okay. Get yourself in there. He's going to be the captain for the next 3 years. He may not play every year because the further we go, the less likely he's going to be in the starting 11. But he's always going to be at the club, I think, because he's a legend and he epitomizes everything that Atletico Madrid stands for. So yeah, get in, Koke. Another player that's probably not going to be leaving is Oblak. So if you're going to play a low block, you want a world-class goalkeeper. For those times where the low block breaks down, they get in a one-on-one, they get an easy shot, you want a keeper that can save those, is reliable on long-range shots, and is reliable on set pieces. Oblak is all of those things. And by the time we end this save, he's probably going to still be at his top peak of his condition, really, because this save could be at 3, it could be 5, it could be even a 7-year save. Even in a 7-year save, he's still not going to be that far past his best, maybe not past his best at all. So, yeah, Oblak's going to be staying. And I mean, in terms of that, let's see what happens to the rest of the squad. So finances are like this. We have 10 million in the bank. We have a 800 grand transfer budget and our wage budget is currently 7 grand. So what's going to happen here? Now, Griezmann is here on a permanent deal. If there is some way I can sell him, I will. He's always been a player in football games where he never really fits what I want to do. Like if I wanted to play like in a 4-4-2, he's not really quick enough to be a proper winger. You know, he's not really a proper striker. He's sort of an in-betweener. Like, he doesn't really run in behind as a striker. He's not really good in the air. Is he a great number 10? He's an all right number 10, I suppose. Like, he's just a bits and pieces player. He sort of fits into a lot of different styles, but nothing that he doesn't really stand out as something. He's one of these, right? He's probably on his attributes a number 10 in FM, would you say? Not a winger and not a striker for me, really. So I don't know what I'm going to do with Antoine Griezmann. What I have realised is every time he joins the club, he joins them right after they win the league title, and they don't win it. So I don't care about all his bloody goals down here. He doesn't fit what we want to do. So I'm probably going to sell him because I like to have isolated roles for players. And let's take a look at the tactic on that note anyway. Okay, so there's a couple of things to note here. One is, when you do recreation, there's a lot of discussion at times about, oh, that player wasn't this or they weren't that role. But sometimes it's not about what role are they playing necessarily just, but it's what profile of player are they. For example, if I was to play both these wingers on support and attack high, here for example, the way that the match engine is going to work this year, on a cautious mentality with all of these settings, that is going to play like a 4-4-2. Now, so DMs this year are used as pivots. If you think about a two-man midfield partnership in any tactic that's more of a sitting partnership that break forwards late, that kind of thing, they're going to be DMs in FM probably going forwards and definitely right now. So DMs is what would suit Simeone's midfield players. Wide players slightly different. So we had Turan and we had Koke actually was a right winger in this season. So Koke was like a support duty. I probably would say if I was to give him his exact role, maybe wide midfielder support would have been what he was. But we don't have those exact players from that team, although we're going to try. And having a wide player up here will simulate, I think, the tactic better. But also putting somebody there that's not like a proper winger, like a number 10. So like it could be a João Felix, could be somebody here, will probably get us the same outcome of what we're looking for from that role. But instead of using the role, we're sort of using the profile of player to make the tactic work rather than the role, if that makes any sense to people following. Same for this one. We want a natural right foot on there to cut in and be out of surround. So really, actually, João Felix could be this player. I've got somebody in mind for this role, but it could be up there, it could be down here. I'm not too sure yet. We've actually got forwards quite a lot under Simeone that year with Juan Fran and Felipe. So I think wing back attack, full back attack, a slightly more conservative role for the box to boxer. Scunda Volante is like a boxer as a pivot. So yeah, that is that. Okay, let's simplify it. First season, we're going to try and just win the league in our style, and whatever the stats look like is whatever they look like. Right, we don't focus too much on that. Second year, we try and win it, and we focus mainly on the goals against. We want to try and get it down to 25 if we can, or 20. Let's say 26, which is the amount that Simeone got. So First season, win it in our style. Second, win it with the same goals against or lower that Simeone got. Third season is, can we get that down even more to like a 22? And can we do it scoring less than 100 goals? Very important. It's all well and good as being good defensively, but if we're smashing teams like 8 and 9-0, it's like, I don't want to see that happen the better our team gets. I think it can happen with defensive tactics sometimes where when you increase the ability of forward players, you're just too destructive and too effective, right? So I want us to make sure we're not one of those teams in the league anyway. Champions League, we play to win. The Champions League will be almost always play to win because the one disappointing thing about Simeone and his entire Atletico reign, as it were, is they never managed to quite get it done in the Champions League. They got all the way to the final in the year that we're recreating, and they sadly lost. So we definitely want to put that right in this save. So when we come back then, we'll look at the fixtures quickly here. We've got Girona, Almeria, Elche, Cadiz at home. That's a pretty favourable start, if I'm being honest. Now, Villarreal and Sevilla are going to be pretty tough this year away from home. They're very annoying to play against. And Bilbao as well. But we've got Real Madrid, we've got Barcelona, we've got Valencia all at home in the first half of the season. Now, that's something to be very wary of. If we are like 3 points behind going into the second half of the season, we're really like quite far behind in the title race because we then have to play Barcelona, who almost definitely be at the top, Real Madrid almost definitely be at the top, and Valencia. We have to play all three of those teams away. And the chances of that being 9 points in the second half of the season all away from home is very unlikely. So we need to be, I'd say, let's say 5 points clear going into that Barcelona game, or after the Barcelona game, for us to be out on par with everybody. If it's anything less than 5 points clear, we're probably going to be behind the 8 ball a little bit, but it's recoverable because we still are technically ahead. If we are not even top of the league going into this game or after this game, we're in a lot of trouble. So what I'm saying is there's a chance we could have a decent start results-wise. I don't know about football and goals conceded and all that type of thing, but results-wise we could have a good start, but that does not mean it's going to continue all the way through, and we have to keep level-headed, and it's not going to be as easy as it might look. And I'm saying all this now, it may not go that way, but it might do. I'm just basically making you aware of what the situation is. In terms of staff, I'm only going to get staff that have got either something like counter-attack, Catenaccio, or park the bus, anything like that, and it has to be a form of a 4-4-2. So 4-4-2, 4-4-2 DM. I'll accept a 4-2-3-1 because it almost is a 4-4-2 with a 10 playing just off of a striker. Any of those with that sort of a mentality, coaching style, is going to be who we try to get in mainly anyway. So that's going to be the idea. Try and create a club DNA of being how defensive can we be? How defensive can we be playing a 4-4-2? It's really important. The formation won't change. The philosophy won't really change either. What can we do within the game? How can we recruit players using all the new introduction of all the new features in the game? How can we use the staff? How can we use all those little extra things to maximise our output of defensive, soaking up the pressure, clearing it away, counter-attacking, shithousery football? How can we do it? Hopefully you enjoy this series as much as I am. Those of you that watch my streams know how much I love this kind of thing, especially in the FM. So yeah, we've got the two extremes going. We've got a Pep recreation series. We've got a Simeone recreation series. I can't wait to bring this to you and showcase you the match engine, hopefully in all its glory. And yeah, with that being said, I thank you for your time, and I'll see you all in the next one.